So I'm gonna start, even though it's the four, start at chapter 1 and see how far we can get before it's time to do the Tao Te Ching. So I will have a lot to do. Hello, Justin. How are you? Did you bring your dictionary? This made me think to look something Google it. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. All right. I've got one going too. That'll help. Hey, Nomad. Hope you're doing well. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's get started. So I'm going to read the whole of the Proverbs and then do the references. But I need to remove this one. And put this one up. All right. So again, we're going to start off with the Schofield reference, King James version, and then read on into the Proverbs 1 from the Tanakh. So Proverbs 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us wait for blood, let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive as the grave, and whole as those that go down into the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, walk not in the way with them. Refrain thy foot from their path. For their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, and they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. So are the ways of every one that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you, because I have called and ye refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught my counsel and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish cometh upon you, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would none of my counsel. They despised all of my reproof. Therefore they shall eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely, and shall be quiet from the fear of evil. All right. So that is the King James Version of chapter 1. Let us see what the Tanakh has to tell us. Chapter 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and reproof, to understand discerning maxims, to accept reproof of insight. Hey, priestess. Righteousness, justice, and uprightness, to give shrewdness to the simple, to a lad knowledge and cunning. Let the wise man hear and gain learning, and the discerning acquire designs. To understand proverbs and adages, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Wisdom and reproof dolts despise. Hear, my son, your father's reproof, and do not forsake your mother's teaching. For they are a garland of grace on your head and a necklace round your throat. My son, should offenders seduce you? Do not be willing. Should they say, go with us, let us lie and wait for blood, stalk the innocent for no reason. Let us swallow them like Sheol. That's hell in Christian parlance. And the blameless like those gone down into the pit. All precious treasures we shall find. We shall fill our houses with loot. Your lot you should throw in with us. One purse we all shall have. My son, do not go on a road with them. Hold back your foot from their path. For their feet run to evil, and they hurry to shed blood. For the net is spread out for no reason in the eyes of each winged thing. Yet they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk for their own lives. Thus are the ways of all who chase gain. In possessor's life it will take. Wisdom cries out in the streets. In the square she lifts her voice. At the bustling crossroads she calls. At the entrance to the town's gate says her sayings. How long, dupes, will you love being duped? I like dupes better than, what does the KJV say? Yeah, that's a lot better than how long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? I definitely like that better. Dupes better. And fools hate knowledge. Turn back to my rebuke. Look, I would pour out my spirit to you. I would make my words known with you. Because I called and you resisted, I reached out my hand and none paid heed. And you flung aside all my counsel, and you did not want my rebuke. I too shall laugh at your ruin. I shall mock when what you feared comes. When what you feared comes like disaster, and you ruin like a whirlwind descends. When straits and distress come upon you, they will call me, and I shall not answer. They will seek me, and they will not find me. Because they have hated knowledge and the Lord's fear they did not choose. They did not want my counsel. They spurned all my rebuke. And they ate from the fruit of their way, and from their own counsels that they were sated. For the waywardness of dupes will kill them, and the smugness of fools will destroy them. But who heeds me will dwell secure and tranquil from the fear of harm. Oh, and to those of you just joining us, let me just say like and subscribe. Help the algorithm, help get word out, please. Okay, so the notes. Verse 1, the Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. This editorial head note for the book follows the late biblical practice of ascribing text to famous figures from the national past. In this case, the ascription was obviously encouraged by the legendary wisdom reported of Solomon in First Kings, including his having composed many proverbs. In fact, the collection of sayings and the longer poems assembled in the books were written in all probability centuries after Solomon, with the earliest stratum going back perhaps to the 8th century before the current era, although some individual proverbs may well have been older. Hey, Pat's Cats. So might have been older. So Proverbs. The Hebrew Mishli, which actually means Proverbs of, became the prevalent title for the book in Jewish tradition. The terms which suggest some sort of artful expression, usually poetic, has no entirely satisfactory English equivalent because it variously means proverb, parable, poetic theme, rhapsodic utterance. Verse 2. The series of infinitive phrases which run from here to the end of verse 4 and is picked up again in verse 6 is quite untypical of literary syntax in the Bible. It is presumably used because it lays out an agenda for the book, with everything from the beginning through verse 9 constituting a formal prelude to the book proper. Reproof or musar, and the matching term rebuke, tokneha, verse 23, 25, and 30 are prominently featured because the pedagogical assumption of the book is that the unsuspecting young need to be warned of life's dangers and scolded for their susceptibility to temptation, a process that will be repeatedly evident beginning in verse 10 to 19. How's everybody new that has come into the stream doing today? Hope you are all well. What was I going? Justin, you doing okay today? Is these translations helping better? I hope. Oh, priestess, I'm sorry. I am quite certain that the migraines are evil incarnate. Shrewdness, verse 4. Shrewdness or cunning. This book uses, in a positive sense, a cluster of. Oh, it's okay, Pats. I had a break in work, so I went ahead and scheduled it. So, yeah, barometric pressure changes kills mine, priestess. So, this book uses, in a positive sense, a cluster of terms or designs. In the next verse belongs to the cluster that, in other contexts, have a connotation of deviousness and scheming. Shrewdness, or mach, for example, is the word used for primeval serpent the primeval serpent in Genesis 3:1. Yeah, it's a bit early for you, Pat. Such usage fits in with the most practical sort, involving an alertness to potential deceptions and seductions. It's seen as an indispensable tool for the safe, satisfying, and ethical life, and a fool is repeatedly thought of as a dupe. Yeah, the weather changes are uh, are just completely destructive on people's sinus systems and if you're prone to migraines, etc. So, verse 6, riddles. This is the same term, hiddah, that is used in the Samson story. Some of the one-line proverbs we shall see are actually cast as riddles, with the first verset posing the riddle and the second verset the solution. The burden of the entire line is that fine attentiveness is yeah, I mean it gets that way sometimes, Justin, and put something in the chat if you need me to clear something up, because if one person is struggling, somebody else may struggle. So speak up and we'll look it up and talk about it together. So the burden of the entire line is that fine attentiveness is required to take in fully the words of the wise. Sorry, excuse me. And that idea is borne out by the compressed wit exhibited in many of the Proverbs. Seven, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. This summarizing statement reflects a distinctive Israelite emphasis not evident in analogous wisdom texts in Egypt and Mesopotamia. Verse 8, hear, my son. The persona of the mentor now emerges, addressing his inexperienced disciple, as he will repeatedly do later as son, in keeping with the precedent of Egyptian wisdom writings. We're skipping to verse 10 here. Offenders. One immediately sees why the traditional rendering of Chataim as sinners, perpetuated in many modern translations, is not quite right. These are offenders in the strict criminal sense, a gang of violent thugs. This monitory poem runs to the end of the verse 19, followed by wisdom's first speech, which takes up 14 verses until the end of the chapter. Continuous poems of roughly this length constitute the first 9 chapter units of the book. Then there is a shift to one-line proverbs. Do not be willing, the 2-word Hebrew verset looks textually suspect, reflecting a rhythmic imbalance with the first verset. Should they say, this formula for introducing speech as elsewhere in biblical poetry seems to be extrametrical. Blood and innocent. These two terms distributed between the two versets are, as Michael V. Fox neatly observes, a breakup of a bound collocation. Blood of the innocent. Damnachi. Hey, Izzy. 12. Swallow them like Sheol. The implication of blood in the previous line is spelled out. The thug's plan is to murder their victims and seize their wealth. 14. One purse we shall all have. The thugs appeal to the young man not only on the basis of profit, precious treasure to be had, but also for the camaraderie in crime that they offer. 15. The road and the path. Though these terms and related synonyms are a figure for a way of behavior, they are also literal here. The bandits want to draw the young man with them on a road where they will lie in wait for victims. So later on, the highwaymen. "17. For the net is spread out for no reason. The unwitting birds do not imagine that the fowler's net spread below them is meant to entrap them." So again, we're in the in with the gang, right? And they just want to entrap the young man. And what's up, Chino Nino? And Miss Metcalf, formerly known as Double D's. You're good. I did put out the links kind of sequentially out, so that's just my bad. So, yet they lie in wait for their own blood. Most interpreters, seeing an implied analogy between the unwitting birds and naive young drawn into crime, understand this to mean the criminals do not imagine that they will be caught by the dire consequences of their own crime, do not realize that they are their own ambushers. This would be in keeping with an idea stressed in Proverbs and vehemently rejected in Job, that there is a built-in moral mechanism that leads from crime to disaster for its perpetrators. Similarly, in the next verse, ill-gotten gain is said to take its possessor's life. 20. Wisdom cries out in the streets. Lady Wisdom, an important personage in the first large unit of Proverbs, is as close to an allegorical figure as the Hebrew Bible comes. Attempts to derive her from the Greek Sophia are questionable, and it is by no means clear that any of this book was written as late as the Hellenistic period. Female figures as symbols of nations, most notably Zion. Hey, Misty. Are common in biblical literature, but not as embodiments of abstractions. Perhaps the centrality of the quality of wisdom in this poetic book led to a feminine personification. The Hebrew hakma, I can't get that last there, is a feminine noun, but here it appears in plural form. Hakmat, construed grammatically as a singular, like behemoth in Job. This could be a plural of intensification or an archaic form. Yeah, it is, but when you already have trouble with a with forming certain words and stuff, it's always been hard on me. Bustling crossroads. Yeah, easy. They are. I mean, they're sister languages. So uh, Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic are so close that you can get a good understanding just because they are, but not completely. I mean, you you can you can go from the south of Iraq and to the north, and things mean completely different. Well, not completely different, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like going from the south here to the north here. So this translation follows a proposal by Fox. The literal sense is chief or head of the bustlings, which he plausibly construes as an ellipsis. 25. Flung aside. The verb is elsewhere used for unbinding the hair, so it literally means something like to put in disarray. Better get some water for this one. Straits and distress. What's up, Chris? Hope you're doing well. The Hebrew similarly features alliteration. Sarha umetsuka. I'm going to say that one slow. 31. Ate the fruit of their way. As in verse 18 and 19, the idea is that they taste the bitter consequences of their own evil acts. From their own counsels, they were sated. This verse, it extends the idea of eating the dire consequences of crime. Counsels, moetzot, antithetically picks up the counsel of wisdom, verse 30, that was spurned, the two words here being different noun formations from the same root. "33. Who heeds me will dwell secure." Again and again, Proverbs pushes the notion that there is a pragmatic payoff for following the precepts of wisdom. Those who do so will enjoy untroubled lives, secure from harm. So, Mrs. Metcalf. Mitch, buddy, man, we're just finishing this one up. We're going to roll into the Tao Te Ching. Thank you. At 1, I didn't get my notifications out. I knew I was going to have a busy day at work. So, but then I got a good break because a conference call got canceled. Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate it. I've had to get back into my natural voice. Because I always kind of suppressed it because I used to scare people with my voice. So, Chinese Book of Change. I mean, yeah, the Tao is the way. So, anyway, anybody have any questions, comments? Want to look something up and us discuss it? No, I had the same old mic, this old Yeti Blue. All right, Izzy, if I'm not busy at work, what time you going live? Over at Fink's? Finkles, I shouldn't say Fink. That has a connotation to it. So, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm speaking louder and not speaking from my throat where I am where I get a little higher and quieter and trying to work on my lisp. So, and you know what Todd thinks about my lisp. So he I got to finish his Bible study from this morning and see if I want to cover it. I might cover it. Well, thank you. You were working and lurking. I'm glad you're here, Mitch, and our conversations on here are excellent. You get my brain going, and I definitely appreciate that. So anyway, I will see you guys in about 20 minutes, and we'll go from the Middle East to the Far East. So see you guys in a bit. Hit that like button on your way out. Absolutely, Mitch. Well, I mean, I'm just saying the reading comparing the Christian scriptures with the Tanakh. Okay, Mrs. Metcalf. All right, y'all be good.